Yeah, I think I'll go with the contributing to community, seeing as that's one of my favorite topics. Um, yeah, I've been thinking a lot about like communities and how they are formed and what creates community, like rather than a scene. And I think it is a lot about like giving of yourself to the other people and like trusting and like taking that leap of faith that everybody will like give back in turn. And so I want to like give authentic gifts that feel accurate to myself and my interests and my desires. So a lot of times when I'm in a space and in a community space, I find myself providing um, a lot of just like meta perspective. I think that I like to see how systems, like, click into each other and organize, and so I really love and that's, like, something that a lot of people have a hard time with, and so it's one of the things that I really enjoy giving is being able to kind of zoom out and be like, "Ooh, have you thought about how this connects to this over here?" Or, like, "I see a little missing piece there," and, like, helping people kind of organize that, and then also just I love giving, like, emotional labor, of like, "Hey, let me create space for you to just kind of share about, like, how you're feeling," and helping, like, people integrate their, like, emotional selves in with their, like, intellectual selves when I can. Yeah. Maybe I'll pass it to Costa.
Mm, I think I'll answer the song one. Favorite song of all time. I think there's several, but the first one that comes to mind is The Fast Car, Tracy Chapman. It's always a song that I've been always really connected with. It just gives me like the peace of just going on a journey with like an accomplice and just leaving, don't know, a bad environment behind and get new starts and, don't know, fresh water and fresh life. And I'll pass it back to you, Gideon.
Sorry.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. I need a second to think about my favorite song. There's two choices.
Yes. So the idea is you can either pick one of the two questions. The first one would be, what is your way to give back to your community? And then if you don't want that, you can also answer the other one, which is have a minute and explain your favorite song. Why is your favorite song of all time? I will start because I haven't gone, so I can give you time to think, Gideon. Sha, would you like to say something?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So on my case, I will pick the first one. My favorite way to give back to my community. I felt disconnected for a long time from communities. I felt like really detached for a long time. So it was not until I understood the concept of circularity and how things always sort of go back to you or go back to another point that it showed me the importance of, even if I felt detached, to make an effort, a conscious effort to sort of plug myself in and try to pay back, in a way, to my context, to my community, to whoever. And I feel like, um, in the example of, I can think of two examples. I can think of the example of the TEC, which for me it's just about being present and trying to, you know, put my mind on whoever's speaking to me or whoever, wherever the space it is, and try to, always, be focused on this. And in the same way I always feel sometimes that's what is given to me. And and then the second thing that I could think about, regarding my community, is my family. I have talked this with my partner before. Like, I feel really detached from my family, but in a way, my giving back to them has been to sort of improve our emotional relationship and sort of the way we communicate with each other, because they struggle with communication a lot. So my giving back to my parents or to my sister or to my nephews has been this how we can connect through communication in a way that we, uh, become better at it and become better at our relationships. So it's been a journey, but that's the examples I can think about. Now, Gideon, go ahead.
Thanks. That's nice. Yeah. I think that, if I try to look at all of the communities that I plug into, in general, what I try to do is help people to feel like they're part of something bigger than just themselves. And usually that's like by helping people plug into some kind of a mission. And then, what I particularly like doing is like brainstorming with people and helping to distill kind of like this is a fancy sounding phrase, but intersubjective reality. It's like, like pulling together people's visions of the future and working with them to try to like bring the very best vision out, and then make that the new reality. That's what I love doing. I came in late, so I don't know who has and hasn't gone. Shah, have you gone yet?
There you go.
Hey, what's up? No, I haven't. So I will try the first question. So how do I give back to my community, right? This is the question?
Yes.
Yes, so I guess like I'm very enthusiastic hearing people's story and hearing people like projects and things that they do. And yeah, it's very easy for me to like try and interact with these ideas and develop them together and see where other things can connect and so on. So I guess yeah, I'm easily excited about the things. Yeah.
Thank you, Shah.
Yeah, and I like the last one, right? It's Mount Manu.
Correct. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Shah. Hi, everyone. For me, the way in which I give back to my community, I enjoy helping the people. A thing that happens in Latin America, certainly in Mexico, is there's a lot of people that on the red lights, on the traffic stops, they do some type of, they either offer to clean your windshields or they do some sort of like entertainment thing, and they ask for, or they sell flowers or toys or something. And I always help them like quite a bit. Like I probably pay for several lunches, or I don't even get the item they get, and they're very, very grateful. Like it's just very easy for me to change someone's day, like just by giving them, I mean, even $5. I mean, it's a lot for them, and so I do that consistently every time I pass by, and I pass every day. So that is something that I do help my community. I wish I could do more, but I'm working on it. And favorite song of all time is probably "Cherish the Day" by Sade. I love the religious connotations and the 90s vibe to it, percussion, everything is just, I don't know, I guess I'm a 90s guy. So anyway, I think that was it. I think I was the last one. So I pass back to you, Edu.
Thank you, man. All right, so we will start with the agenda for today. We don't have a long agenda, so we may end early, maybe, hopefully. I don't know. The first one is the token holder message. Gideon, would you like to take that on?
Oh yeah. So the idea behind this was that we felt like it was time to reach out to the token holders and help them understand like all the great stuff that's happened, and then also like what's coming next, right? Just to keep people excited, especially given that starting in about a month and a half from now, the token thaw is going to happen, and so people will be able to start selling their tokens, the hatchers who were in. So we want people to maintain their enthusiasm, and so now it's a good time to send a message out. So I drafted like a first iteration of this, or just like an outline, brainstormed it with the stewards, then did like another draft, and then send that out. It's gotten a fair amount of feedback. If anybody would like to see the message, I'm happy to post it in the Communitas channel. At this point, I'm not looking for like large scale like changes. We're trying to like get it down to, so if there are things that are like, what, I don't understand this, or like, grammatical things, but I put it to the Writers Guild, and at least Jason has given me some feedback on it. So we're getting pretty close to it being wrapped up. The question now, I think, is how do we send it out? So we have one option, which is we have emails for, I think, what was it, like 200? Do you remember what it was, Edu? It was like 230 or something like that?
213, if I'm not wrong.
213, yeah. So that's one option, is email, and then the other option, Edu, which is what Edu has done in the past, is doing kind of more like personal outreach through, I guess, DMs. Is that right?
It depends of the occasions. Most of the times it's Telegram, but we usually get blocked by Telegram because we send too many messages. So it happens in between Telegram and Discord, depending on the person. So
yeah. So, I mean, my personal view on this is that at some point we should probably have like a record of like what people prefer, like on a person by person basis. Do you want us to contact you via Telegram, via DMs on Discord, or email? But I don't know, Manu, we don't really have that, right? The preference.
We don't have personal preference. No, we do have a 360 something contact list on HubSpot, and that is at the service of this working group. If you so choose to contact those people, then we can do it through HubSpot, and I can do that. So that's there.
And is the 360, does that include all of the token holders in that 213? Is that part of that 360?
Yes. Yes, and if for some reason there are some that are not on that list, then this would be a good opportunity for me to update that contact list if we so choose to. I mean, off the top of my head, I think HubSpot is a great way to do this, just because it has a very straightforward way of sending mass email, and also checking the analytics of who opened it, where did they click, where did their cursor scroll through, so that equates on their interests, things like that. So we can certainly use HubSpot, and if there are some token holders that are not on the token list, then I'll just add them, because I'm sure there are on the Communitas outreach campaign spreadsheet.
So I have one. Go ahead.
Yeah, so there is 270, probably 68 because Sam and Jake are deleted from this list. So probably 268 people, and on HubSpot there is 209 people. We have to consider there's a lot of people who voluntarily didn't submit their email just because privacy, because their names, because of what. So I will say for this very specific outreach that you're trying to do, Gideon, I strongly suggest that it will be personal message, not a mailing list email, mainly because I feel mailing lists are so impersonal, and this is something that is meant to encourage people and to sort of let them know that we keep them in our minds and that we are aware that they need information, that we want their opinion. So for me, it's easier to just take a batch of every, I don't know, 20 people every day or something along those lines, and just focus on building an actual or follow up an actual relationship we had with them, rather than just sending an impersonal email to them. Just because of the nature of this specific email and the context of the market, the context of the token thaw, we are requesting them, we are sort of low key requesting them to not sell their tokens or to hold on the tokens. And that's something that needs more than just an email. That needs a follow up, that needs a conversation, that needs probably questions back and forth with them. So it is a pain, but I feel like it will be the best option in this case. If it was something about like, hey, we want to know your opinion or your vote on a proposal, then I will say just do an email. But this is different. So yeah.
Can you give me those numbers again? I'm like keeping a log of all this stuff. So how many hatchers are there in total?
270, and there are 2 people who are taken out of this list, so 268.
Okay, and then there's like 209 of those.
Yes, it's in
where
the
we have
email.
emails, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's like basically that's like just like 60 n- 69 of them who basically am I doing the math right? Something like that. Around 70 where we don't have emails.
We don't have emails, but we have either the Discord or either their Telegram handle.
Okay. So let me just throw out one other option just to
Sure.
get everything out on the table. So one option would be to send it out to all of the HubSpot people where we have the email addresses. And I guarantee you that only a portion of those people will open it and read it. Like, that's just the way that email newsletters work. So we could just say like, okay, for those people who have opened it in the email, like, that's good. We know that they've read it. We know that they've opened it and read it. And then you basically could start with the people that we don't have email addresses for, and start doing outreach there. And then just basically then go to the people who don't respond, who don't click on the email, and then reach out to them directly. That's one option.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I would say that I agree with Edu that email is impersonal, and also that might be the way that some people prefer it. I've certainly done both. Like I've done private messaging and I've done email messaging, and some people, they just don't like to be contacted privately unless it's someone within their social circle, like whatever type of professional. They just don't like it. So in the end, it's really a matter of preference. Whatever we choose to do, if we could certainly ask the person what's their preferred way of being contacted, that would be a huge step forward. In the end, it's just a matter of preference. So whatever, I think a hybrid would be a good way to go, because I agree with Edu. However, yeah, some people just like email better. So who's to say? Who knows, right? So
Yeah, I will say I like the suggestion, Gideon. I'm just thinking about if it will be double work. In the sense of you will send the email and then you have to check people who hasn't opened it, and then you will have to then again outreach, not again, but you will have to outreach, and you know what I mean. Like for me, I would just go straight to do the outreach without the email, or even like my only concern, like I don't know. I have my thoughts that are completely personal on this, which sort of reacts in a unconscious weird way to If you send me the same email I just open, it feels like, oh, I'm just another one. Like you're just sending me a copy and paste, and that doesn't feel really well, at least on me. And secondly, I feel we used to adapt every message to the ones we are sending. Like I would just take the last part of our conversation and just keep talking about that, and then send them the text that's for the outreach. I don't know. At the end, it's up to you, Gideon. I would just send the message to in the way that you preferred. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. Does anyone else have any? You are muted, Gideon.
No, I mean, does anybody else have thoughts on this?
I'd be happy to divide and conquer. Like, I'll do the email. Like, if we choose to do some people by email through HubSpot, I'll do that. And if you want to do the private messaging, then you can do that, so that yeah, we can get this done faster.
I will say that the question of I have a feeling. I don't know how you're gonna phrase the question, how you wanna be contacted on an email. Will they answer the email back? Will you provide a form? So it means that they will have to make an extra step, or you will have within the email the capacity to receive the answer. So for me, there are like you are adding, like it feels like we are adding more steps to a process that should be really simple. Like I should be able to answer with a Telegram. Like I should be able to answer Telegram, Discord, or email. That's it. You know. So yeah, I don't know how you wanna solve that.
Yeah, I don't think in the email we would have like a form that says like, tell us how you would want to be contacted. So the benefit of doing direct outreach is that you could just say, hey, doing direct outreach, and part of this process is I'm trying to figure out what's your preferred contact, method. So we could say, so part of my motivation with this, like the whole email thing, is like, I want us to be able to get to a place where we can do this stuff and not have it cost so much time and energy. Like, so we can do this more regularly and like not have to be this Herculean task, right? But I think it's so we could just view like this doing kind of a personal outreach as like the last time we do personal outreach to everybody, and then we ask them like, do you like this better, or would you just like an email? And like maybe that's a good investment of time right now, is to figure out what people actually want.
Yes, I will say if I will agree with that. And then secondly, I think I will let them know that we can send a message to the praise system. So every time they get a message from, let's say, using our imagination, every time they receive a message from the bot, that they can know that they can open that safely, and that's something that we can use as a form of communication rather than going through a bunch of notifications in our Discord. So we can also let them know that, like, hey, if you are part of our praise system, you will see a praise bot once every 2 weeks, once every month, that will communicate you things that are important for our community. That's an option. I mean, they are using it already for we all have received message of, hey, you have been selected as a quantifier. Hey, it's your last time to quantify. So that's an option. There's no new implementation to be done. We just need to identify who is going to send these messages and what is the way to send the messages, but that's it. So I think that will be, even if they don't have a preferred way to receive messages, I think acknowledging the praise one will be highly more effective for us than anything else. But yeah, that's my perspective.
I agree that having something like the praise or the quantifiers, that ability to do like a DM is really good. I don't know if praise is the right way, because first of all, a lot of these people are probably not activated. But what would be really cool, I mean, I think in the end, we want some system to be able to really efficiently reach these folks and not have to do a whole bunch of work over time. So do you know like what it would take to basically just copy the praise the praise messaging, but have it be just for token holders?
I can talk to Mitch. I don't think we can copy the data. I don't think we can sort of copy and paste the data and use a different system. I don't think that's doable, because they have signed. I mean, you will have signed the praise permits with MetaMask, so that you cannot duplicate that. You will have to go through the same process again. But for me, what I thought about what is true. What you said is true. Most of them have not activated their Price account, but that would be a really nice way to sort of let them know that they can activate their Price account. Like that would be an incentive. For me, it could be the Price, could be something else. We can create a new bot. We can create a channel. It's just a way for us once for all to let them know that this is the place that filters the noise. Like this is the notification that you have to be aware of. So far, the notification has been Tam, Costa, Manurme. That has been the notification. So that's what I'm saying. Like maybe it's praise, maybe it's a channel in Discord. I don't know. But like the announcement channel, we can just close the announcement channel and just leave it for announcement that we will put up every 2 weeks only. And there will be only one person or two person with access to the announcement channel, for example. But we can let them know on the Telegram message that we're gonna send them with this outreach, like, hey, even if you don't want to be contacted, even if you do not pick any of this form of contact, there is a passive way to be aware of things, and this is the place where the noise is filtered. Be aware of that. That's it.
How about this? I feel like this. So we need a messaging system for token holders. Like this is going to be, as we start to build the utility of the token, like this will be a key thing. It's like only the people who hold the token will get these messages, right? And then our goal over time is to like make it easier for more and more people to hold the token, right? Like, so it's not an exclusive thing, but it is like a benefit of holding the token, right? And so I think it's really important to like figure out what that system is. And it does seem like having something that's not, coming from an individual person is important. And that's like, we go out of the way to like brand it and say, hey, this is safe. Like a DM from this entity, you don't have to worry about this being like a scammer or anything like that. This is the TEC. So maybe should we bring it up with the stewards tomorrow?
Yeah, I will say so. Because
Okay.
it has happened. It has happened with Costa. Like where the first time that Costa started sending messages, there were like 2 or 3 messages on our board asking like, hey, is this for real? And it's big and it's completely normal. No one knew him. And it will happen with anyone who will, like, if there's a new steward and that new steward wants to share new information about X concept and he sends the messages, he has to go through the same verification process again with the people. That's why we have sort of keep this relationship with people. Like, for example, people like Owoki. Like Owoki replies with thank you. That's it. But he replies, because we have had like 10 messages, 10 outreaches, and he keeps replying with thank you, okay, good, whatever. And their time is really precious. So just by having this filter, I think it's really helpful for us to let them know like, hey, this is filtered, and so I'm not comfortable with the idea that it's only for token holders. I understand the positive aspect of it. For me, it's being a token. Again, it's the same discussion we always had. Being part of having a token doesn't mean you're part of our culture. So for me, it's more about being part of the praise is what gives you access to this messaging system rather than being part of to being only token holder. Because being only token holder is only one side of the value. But this is a conversation for another moment. But in the meantime, what I will do is that I will message Mitch to let them know how does this work and if it's possible and how, like, if it's doable or not, and then we can bring this to the stewards tomorrow.
That sounds good. Like the message will be ready in like the next couple days. So it's really just the delivery mechanism. So
Yeah.
basically, we're looking at maybe some combination of, I mean, maybe the goal here is to set up this messaging system. And even if, like, okay, here, let me just restate this. Maybe the possibility here is we say, we're going to do personal outreach with this campaign. We're going to ask what the preferred mechanism is. Is it email? Is it a DM from a person? Or, hey, we're going to come up with this mechanism. We don't have it yet, but we're going to come up with this mechanism so that the TEC can reach you directly through Discord. Which of these would you like to do? And then we just record it. Can we put it in HubSpot? Like the preference? Can we add a field?
I will just add it on the spreadsheet. Our spreadsheet is a source of truth. So I will leave it on spreadsheet first, and then we can take it to any other channel we may use, HubSpot or anything else. But I will keep the spreadsheet as a source of truth.
Okay. Because this seems like then we can move forward. Like we can move forward and we don't have to have this new channel set up yet. We can just say, we're going to build this, and let us know if you would like to do it that way. Does that seem like that makes sense?
Yeah, it does. Does anyone have any question regarding this? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. I sent a message to Hello Bear 100. How are you?
Hi everyone, I'm good. Just here to listen in.
Nice. Thank you for hopping in. We are going through the agenda at the moment, and we were just talking about how we can message the token holder message that Gideon created. Did you share the link to the message, Gideon, on the Communitas channel? Thank you. So we can move to the next point of the agenda. My computer is acting weird, so I'm getting lagged. Can you hear me properly? Or yes? Okay. Nice. Thank you. TEC membership. Gideon, it's also yours. Wanna explain that a little bit?
Yeah. So the last couple of months we've been looking at building out these flows for engagement and onboarding. And one of the things that we've been talking about is like at the end that we have a clear sense of what it means to be a member of the TEC, right? And to make it concrete and meaningful, we've been looking at like, okay, well, what are the components of that? And to make it feasible, we've just...
Sorry, I promised Mitch it was only going to be 5 minutes, so I'm gonna take advantage of Mitch's here. Mitch, we had a few questions regarding the praise system. Is it possible for us to filter the way you send messages, for example, only to token holders using the praise system?
You want to send praise to all the token holders?
No, I want to send a message to all the token holders on the praise system.
No.
Is there a way to filter that out?
To filter it so that you send a message to all the token holders?
Or a selected amount or a selected list?
How do you know who the token holders are?
No, just by the Ethereum address. Like, for example, the people from the hatchers, we know the Ethereum address, so we can sort of make a list and see who is on the praise system and then only send messages to those people.
Oh. So hatchers, so that wouldn't include people who bought tokens off of the market that hold TEC.
So far, I guess, yes.
So then you want to... So you don't actually have a list of who holds TEC, you just have a list of hatchers that have activated their praise account.
Correct.
Okay. So that's a little bit different. So you want to... Let me just write this down. Send a message.
Well,
go ahead, Gideon.
Can I add one thing? Because it doesn't have to be... what we're trying to do, the simplest thing is we would like to be able to do something like what Praise does today, which is to be able to send notifications to people from an account that's clearly the TEC.
So you want to DM them something that's clearly from the TEC.
Yeah, and the praise thing looks. I mean, that's like a model of what how this could work. Like but maybe it wouldn't be labeled praise because that might be confusing.
And it would have links in it. Would anybody open it? Because people freaked out when we started DMing them with the praise bot. I just got a DM today from OneHive saying I should download their PC version.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah,
So
the scam.
Yeah, we could just put the whole message. So, Mitch, this is basically the message to token holders. We're trying to find a delivery mechanism. So we could just put the whole message into one honk and DM, but that might be a little bit weird. It's pretty long.
But can you also just prove that the message is real by making a publication on Twitter or an announcement on the Discord so people are warned by of the veracity of the message?
There's like multiple. Anyway, I'm sorry. It's like now I'm like debating, but I can say no, it doesn't exist. Doing this functionality, maybe ViViV could make something that would do that. Whether or not people will read it or think it's a scam, I'll leave that to you guys. But it doesn't exist in its current state.
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful to know. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Edu, do you have any other questions? Edu? I think he's frozen.
Yeah, it looks like it.
So casual too. He's like this.
Either that, or he's
Just
deep thought.
Disinterest.
Okay, well, we'll follow up if we need to with you, Mitch, but it sounds like this is more of like a ViViV thing. Is that right?
Yeah, because you want to make some sort of Discord bot that's going to DM all activated hatchers that aren't necessarily TEC holders. Or they are TEC holders only because of the token freeze.
Yeah, and yes. Yeah,
but
we're
it
going
won't
to
include people who bought TEC off the market.
We've got to find another way to find those people. We don't have it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you have thoughts on that. Yeah, but okay.
Can I sorry, my computer turned off, so I missed part of the conversation. One last question, Mitch. Is it possible to just plug another bot to the database of the praise system, or we can't do that?
You could. Christopher might lose his shit from just like adding the scope, but technically yes, I'll say that.
Because we could just plug another bot that is just sending messages, and when we outreach the people with this message that Gideon is putting together, we just let them know that this bot exists, and that's. I mean, we won't be ready for that, but by then, but we can let them know that
This bot's sole purpose is just to send this letter to hatchers.
To send this communication and many others and save the trouble. Like what happens with the praise activation that you wanted, that list of people you wanted us to activate, it's a pain in the ass to reach out everyone and they never answer and so on. So the idea for us.
The token's just back in the treasury, so it's fine. We don't care.
But you don't care, but in general, for other communications that are relevant, we need them. We need something that we care. So we have been doing this for 2 years, and we want another way to communicate with people. Let them know that this way exists and that it's not a scam, and an easy way that doesn't take us too far from the source. So praise for me was the initial thought on that because I thought it was going to be easier.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, yeah. Talk to Vi. That's what I can say.
All right, Mitch. Thank you so much. You can leave if you want now.
Bye.
What were you saying, Gideon? I cut you halfway when Mitch entered. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I'm glad that we him join. So yeah, so okay, how do I say this very succinctly? Basically, we would like a way for membership to be clearer in the TEC, so that we know this group of people are actually members, and it means something to be a member, right, of the TEC. So at the simplest level, just to get started on this may expand and become more complex and meaningful over time. But to start, what we talked about was that it would be, has somebody been through orientation? Have they activated their praise account? Have they signed the community covenant? And then have they done this initial community offering, which we just basically agreed week before last, I think, to just strip down to a very simple version to get it out the door. And so there's some complexities in this in terms of like signing the covenant. Like right now, the covenant, like the only way that I can find to sign the covenant is through Gardens. But that's kind of broken actually, if you think about it. Like the only people who are signing the covenant today are the people who are submitting proposals on Gardens. I mean, that's like a tiny fraction of the whole community. So I think it would be really good to get everybody to sign the community covenant. And so anyway, if we can get all of these things lined up and then verified, probably manually, then one of the things that we were talking about is basically then issuing an NFT as like, every year there's like a new NFT. If you are a member in good standing, if you've passed these things, then you become a member and you get the NFT.
Does anyone have any conflict idea?
Is this NFT is like a soulbound or something, like non-transferable? That can be burned?
Still don't know. This is a brand new idea, but I think that it would have to be non-transferable, I think.
I would love to know. Go ahead, Sean. Sorry. I would love to know your take on this, LVS, mainly because your perspective regarding membership and your past experiences on SourceCred, like how effective it is, and what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think having like delineation of membership can be really, really useful. It helps people feel like they're part of the crew. It could be really cool to have like an NFT year after year to kind of show which years you were engaged with the like TEC. I think there's a lot of benefits to it. And then I would also just caution that if people don't have easy access, that just like it's so obvious, it's like silly that, it hasn't been done. If it's not so obvious to like do all of these steps to become a member, then it becomes like a strange, like, oh, was I supposed to be a member? Do I get things if I'm like, I don't understand what it means to be a member? Or like, oh, I really wish I was a member, but I feel like I'm boxed out because I don't know where to go or what to do. Or it's like this weird, like if it's not super obvious, then it can become kind of like an insular or like a strange social dynamic that can be kind of harmful to the desire of the TEC to be accessible, to be like welcoming, to like, the point of creating membership to like bring people in community with each other. And that does actually kind of segue nicely into the next topic on the agenda, but I want to give space for more reflections on the current topic.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I guess like community membership is like something a little bit vague, no? Like it's something I heard like a good friend of mine. She did a lot of research about it, and she spoke of it as a feeling. Like membership in community is something that you feel, and it's very I don't know, like how, like if there's just like this NFT, you got this NFT, so you're a member. Like how will it reflect it exactly? Perhaps it should be something more like of a some sort of a portfolio that is evident in that portfolio that you function as a member in some sense. It's not just a membership NFT, but it's like maybe like stores your praise data and your, I don't know, like something extra, like something that you can interpret as, okay, she's a member, definitely, or something like that.
Go ahead, LBS.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And like it would be cool to get granular with it eventually, though I will say that there is like a lot of value in just like starting with something simple and saying like, cool, we want to be able to delineate like whether or not you know what our community is about and you feel like you're invested at least to the degree that you would like go sign the covenant and that you would like, make a contribution, or, it could even be like, maybe it's not membership, maybe it's like, hey, you've joined the Token Engineering Commons, and you get like a little, hey, I've joined, like POAP. And then maybe eventually like you can add more nuanced things onto that move into like, oh yeah, you've received a lot of praise, you have a lot of credibility in this space. So then you get your little like, hey, I'm experienced, I'm credible, like POAP. Or like, wow, you've like made X number of contributions that people really enjoyed. Like, hey, you're a member now, or hey, you've like done a lot of work in the Communitas, like working group, like working group specific POAPs. But I feel like there's a lot of value in just kind of starting small with something that has like a tangible end goal.
I will love to take on that. Gideon, what?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
I see the value in that. I guess like maybe I read some article lately about like at the circles of like cooperatives or DAOs and etc. Like that you have the circle of members and you have the circle of like followers, sort of people who are not so engaged, but they might have been in the past and might be in the future, that you still want to keep there, and it's an important layer, and so on. So perhaps, yeah, maybe like gives, like formalize it in some sort of way.
I will say I love the take on what LBS mentioned regarding having the information sort of accessible. So I will say that all these steps, signing the covenant and community offering or whatever it is, I will centralize the point of entry at least. So it makes clear that going through all these steps, it's part of the whole thing, rather than scattering them away or having different, because and the way I thought about before, like you get this from your rotation code, you get this from this, you get that from that, it feels scattered now that LBS mentioned this. So maybe having a single point of a bot or whatever, a single point where all these things are placed and access to that single point, so people can know that this is all part of the same process.
So are we waiting for Eduard to come back?
No, he's
So what?
Edu is talking right now.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
Sorry. Like I
It's
can't
okay.
hear you. Sorry.
No, it's all good. So yeah, I'll go ahead, Beer.
Yeah, thank you. Just real quick, I really liked and I agree with everything that is being said. And it just reminded me something that Durgadas has been saying around, this idea of kind of creating like a profile dashboard for people in the TEC where you can see like all of these that you guys are saying, right? So maybe in the long term, I think that would be kind of like a really cool goal to get to.
I agree. I wanna give LBS also time for the last topic of the agenda. Gideon, would you like to wrap up with anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I think for this to work, it has to be completely permissionless. So that means anybody can access it, right? And so that means being very clear. We're all saying the same thing. Yeah, it's like there's like a post when you start here in the TEC. It's like, here's how you become a member. Boom, 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 and then it's like you can always see. Ideally, like you can always see where you are in the flow. Like how many more steps you have. Like we may not get there day one, but like, yeah, we should always be transparent. You should always know exactly where you are, what you have to do left. And And in the beginning, I think it will be a manual process of like, basically the guides, Communitas guides, kind of taking people through that and answering questions. But ideally over time, yep, you'd be able to see that. And then also, I totally agree, like having this be kind of the place where you have like a dashboard that, you can see like eventually your reputation and all that kind of stuff would be awesome. And eventually, this is just me personally, but I would love to have it so that when you do conviction voting, it's not just all about holding tokens. Like, I think, having people who have been, pulled into this community and its values through orientation and other means, I think that's going to be really important. That's just my personal opinion.
I agree. LBS, take it away.
Yeah. So I'll try to be as concise as possible. But I am kind of on a journey right now in the token engineering commons that meshes with my own like personal journey in Web3, which is how do we help DAOs create a track or create clarity. Like the first thing that when somebody comes in, they've like joined the TEC, they've gone to an orientation call, they've signed the community covenant, they've got all their platforms set up. The very next question that is always just so hard to answer is, how do I make a contribution? How do I make my first contribution? And this is something that just like every single DAO I've ever interacted with just really struggles to make easy for new contributors. But it's one of the biggest steps that people need to take to really that feeling of membership, right? You have given something of yourself and it was valuable for the community. So in this journey, I've just been doing a lot of like personal research of like looking and digging through like the Discord for the TEC and stuff like that, and trying just even for my own self to understand like, how do I make a contribution within Communitas? It's still kind of fuzzy for me. It's still kind of hard to figure out like, how do I get people on board with my ideas? How do I suggest things? How do I check in to make sure I'm going in the right direction? So I have been exploring that, and I realized the ZenHub was kind of a point of confusion for me, and that like the things that we talk about here in this meeting don't really relate to like what's on the ZenHub board. And so I asked Tam to sit down with me and spend some time with me, just kind of going through the ZenHub and explaining some of that, and we kind of shared some different ideas. And just one small piece of this larger puzzle that I'm working on that I noticed was that a lot of the ZenHub stuff is just very like vague. A lot of the like fields in the ZenHub issues aren't really filled out. And that might be like totally fine for somebody who is like deeply ingrained in the Communitas working group and like knows all about what's going on, or maybe somebody just wants to like leave a note for themselves later to keep track of something. However, I think it would be really, really valuable, and I'm using Communitas as like a small little proving ground for this first, is say we have new people coming into the Communitas working group. They want to understand what the heck is going on, what's being worked on right now, what's in the backlog, what's on the plate, what are the epics. And if right now you go through the ZenHub, that's kind of a hard thing to figure out. There's not a lot of data in there. So there are some situations in which we want to be able to put a lot more information into those ZenHub issues so that anybody who comes and looks at them can really get kind of a clear idea of what's going on. And that would be especially useful for things that are like, good first issue, or like for contributor issues, these things that have these like help wanted tags. Things where anything where you want somebody to come in and go from zero context to understanding the thing and then choosing whether or not they'd like to contribute to that particular issue. So one of the ways in which I thought maybe we could do that is to create a new template within the ZenHub that has just like, it's for in-depth issues. You might not always need it. It might not always be the appropriate choice for your ZenHub issue like that you're creating. But when you want to give a lot of contribution and you're expecting people to step in who don't have a lot of context, then I think that a new template that really goes through like, what are you trying to achieve with this? What kind of help are you looking for? All of these different things could be super useful. So I created a new issue on ZenHub in our Communitas. I like just pushed it through today before this meeting started. That kind of outlines like my thoughts. And then as you can see in the screen share that Edu has put up there for us, I also have a little document that just kind of outlines the different like questions that I would add to this template to kind of help people really both like think through what it is they're proposing and give a lot of context whenever that is appropriate and necessary. Then it has little comments that have like examples. So we don't necessarily need to like go through it all right now here in this meeting, but that link is there in the meeting notes, and it's also linked in the ZenHub issue itself. And so just kind of the feedback that I'm looking for really quickly from this group is just, is this valuable? Is this a good direction for me to be putting my energy? Is the ZenHub actually a thing that we want to clean up and make like transparent so that newcomers can like get a quick idea of the roadmap? You know, does this seem like a good idea and a good place for me to put my energy when I have the goal of helping people figure out how to make a first contribution?
I will say it's really important first. Secondly, I talk about this with Tam too, which is the idea of having probably a column on the ZenHub that it says the steps to understand the ZenHub. Because before even joining into a template, I have to know how it works. So I think that what will be really nice is going in pair with this template is if you can write also a sort of guide to understand ZenHub that will be an issue that is permanently open, so people can just always click on it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea and definitely like would be needed and would like greatly aid people's ability to jump in with no context. And I think also just like in my explorations, I would eventually like to put together kind of a list of just like the different resources that exist that are really powerful for newcomers, and then like where the gaps are and like things that need to be created, because there are a lot of gaps. Like the advice process, is that something that I need to go through before I like execute this? You know, like there's all kinds of like what is the method of like making a contribution in the token engineering commons, or even just specifically for this working group could be a good place to start. And like, you know, when it comes to the your guide channel, I notice that there's a lot of like kind of ambiguity or like missing resources, or like some of the resources you click on them and they're just like page not found. So I think that goes hand in hand with that. Like that would be one of the great resources to have, is just a really quick, like, you know, in the master list of newcomer resources, there is the how do you interpret the ZenHub and how do you choose a contribution to make on the ZenHub.
I agree. Thank you so much, Elvius, for this. Everyone, the document is shared on the Communitas channel, so provide feedback to that document, please. And I hope to see this template used on ZenHub. And we can sync also during the week, LBS, and see what other steps we can take and support your mission on this. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. I will see you next Monday, hopefully. Take care. Have a nice week.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.
So thanks, Edu. Thanks, Sylvia.
Okay, I love you. Bye.